here. Comedy for NATO members. Welcome, everybody. Dan and I have been super excited about this show for a long time. Comedy for NATO members. I want to make it clear from the very beginning. Of course, everybody is welcome at the show, even if you're not a part of NATO, India. Everybody's welcome at the show, even if you're about to be bombed by NATO, Russia. I feel bad for the Russian refugees, to be honest, because a couple of years ago, let's start light with the Ukraine war. So, a couple of years ago when the Ukraine war started, there were all these Ukrainian refugees in Munich, and they were getting, really nice treatment, they were getting, the things that they needed, they were getting sympathy and everything, and that was wonderful. But there's also a lot of Russian refugees in Germany, and they weren't quite getting the same attention. So I took it upon myself to come up with an idea for a care package for the Russian refugees. Would you guys like to hear the idea?
Yes!
So this is the idea. So it's to sort of make the Russian refugees feel at home, something to remind them of Russia. And they arrive in Germany, and I give them this care package to make them feel at home. It's a big box, and they open it up, and inside is a smaller box. And they open up that box, and inside that is an even smaller box. And they open that box. I'm here for 30 minutes, by the way. No, I'm very excited to be here. My name is Chris. If you don't know, my name is Chris Auber. So when I speak English, I say my name is Chris Auber. And when I need an apartment in Munich, I say my name is Chris Auber. And that seems to work pretty well. Yeah, I am an American abroad, but I'm not a broad American, as you can see. That was bad. You don't have to laugh at everything. That one was just for me. No, I do have my photo in all the fitness studios around Munich. Maybe you've seen my photos in all the gyms around Munich. I'm the before picture. No? Maybe not. No, Germans in the crowd. I heard we have a Felix back here, right? Or is it Fabian? Kai. I wasn't even close. Kai, I gotta say, I clocked you as soon as you walked in. You just give off this German aura, I gotta say. You just look like, let me take a wild guess here. You just look like your favorite hobbies are cycling? Yeah, am I pretty good? Let me go 2 for 2. I'm gonna say your second favorite hobby is recycling. I'm pretty good at this. No, guys, I'm doing really good recently. I got a new job recently. Thank you very much. I'm the feels like guy. You didn't know there was a feels like guy, did you? Feels like guy, yeah. So let me explain it. You know when you open the weather app on your phone? And it says it's 10 degrees outside. Feels like 5. I'm the guy. Now, to be clear, I'm not a meteorologist. I work with a meteorologist. He's very smart. He's well-learned. He's got a doctorate degree. He pores over these weather maps and data patterns all day long, just so that he can perfectly predict that tomorrow at 9 a.m. it will be 10 degrees. And then it's my job to go out there at 9 a.m. and go, feels like 5. I don't know. He fucking hates me so much. He emailed me the other day with all these attachments with charts and everything, and was like, actually, it doesn't matter what it feels like, because here's what I was just like, yeah, thanks, Dave. Best regards, Chris. I always hit him with the best regards. It's my favorite email ending. Best regards is my favorite email ending because if you think about it, best regards is the only email ending you can type using only your left hand on the keyboard. BESTREGARDS. You can type it with all just your left hand. Perfectly leaving your right hand open to flick off the computer screen. Because fuck you, meteorologist Dave, I've got the vibes. Been living in Germany for a while, and one of my favorite things about living in Germany is seeing the trends pop up here a few years later after they already happened in the US. For example, what became popular in the US a few years ago was these DNA self-testing kits. Has anybody taken these DNA self-testing kits to see what your ancestors are? Anybody? Yeah? Of course, always the whitest people here are like, I took the test. I wanted to see in what way my grandfather was racist. No, but I do love these tests. More than these tests, I love seeing racist people take these tests. Love seeing racist Americans take the DNA test. Because Americans love to pretend they're not American, right? You ever ask an American where they're from? They can't just tell you. They gotta be like, where am I from? Well, I'm glad you asked. You see, I'm 14% Filipino, 3/8 Irish, 19% Wampanoag Indian, 15% concentrated power of will, and 100% reason to remember the name. It's like, calm down, Meghan Markle, you can just say you're from Texas. But I love seeing these racist Americans waiting for their DNA test results to come back, right? Do you remember in the first Harry Potter movie when Harry's got the sorting hat on and he's like, not Slytherin, not Slytherin, not Slytherin. This is what it's like to see racist Americans waiting for their DNA test result to come back. But they're sitting there like, not Mexican, not Mexican, not Mexican. But the DNA sorting hat doesn't lie, does it? No, the DNA sorting hat knows everything. Not Mexican, eh? Are you sure? You could be great. Being Mexican could help you on your way to greatness. Not Mexican, eh? Well, if you're sure, better be Colombian! But Americans are so bad at geography, they're just like, no, that's just a different type of Mexican! I am one of these Americans. Not racist, just bad at geography. I really, for the longest time, I just thought everything south of the US was Mexico. And until a couple years ago, I went to hike to Peru. I went to hike to Machu Picchu in Peru. Peru, if you don't know, is one of these Mexican countries. And I hiked in the Andes Mountains. Now, the Andes Mountains are higher than any of the mountains that we have here in Europe. So altitude sickness is a real concern that you should have. And I went there a couple days early to Cusco, Peru, to sort of acclimate myself to the altitude, make sure I didn't get altitude sickness. And I'm eating, I'm like, acclimating myself to the altitude. And one Saturday in Cusco, it's about quarter to 8 in the evening, and I'm walking to the grocery store, and I start to feel all the symptoms of altitude sickness. Yeah, I start to like my breath gets really short, and I can't quite focus, and my loose feeling in my fingertips, and my vision starts closing in. And about quarter to 8 in the evening, right in front of the grocery store, I collapse, I faint. And a bunch of really nice Mexicans came over and they helped me out. And luckily, one of them was a doctor. And he said, Chris, I know what's wrong with you. I'm going to diagnose you immediately with a disease called Bavarian retail anxiety. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Bavarian retail anxiety, or BRA for short. But Bavarian retail anxiety is a disease where it's quarter to 8 on a Saturday. And you haven't done your grocery shopping yet. And you start to get shortness of breath, and your vision starts closing in, and you're like, oh my god, I'm not going to be able to go to Edeka in time, there's Sparkles I just fast go by, and I'm not going to be able to get the Sparkles that I want to, and I would even go to Penny at a time like this. Please, they're going to leave me to die on a Sunday in Bavaria. Luckily, the doctor was like, don't worry, you're in the free country of Mexico, Peru, whatever. Tomato, potato. He was like, you're in the free country of Mexico, everything here is open 24/7. No, it ended up going well. I'm doing pretty good right now. I think since the last time Dan and I did the show, I'm dating a new girl. She's Bulgarian. It's about me tonight, not her. Come on. No, it's nice to date a girl with an EU passport, but from Bulgaria, because I always wanted an EU passport, but I'm kind of an underachiever. It's okay, there's only 2 Bulgarians in the crowd tonight. I know this. We can shit on them a little bit. But it's funny, like, the EU treats Bulgaria like the rest of the world treats America. Right, like they're just looking at us, that we're like a clown on a unicycle juggling 10 balls, smoking a cigar with a slide whistle, just like, this is really entertaining, but I just can't wait till he falls. This is my favorite part. when my girlfriend and I moved into our new apartment recently, we moved into one of these weird apartments where like the setup is such, it has like a toilet in one room and the rest of the bathroom in another room. Anybody else live in one of these apartments? Yeah? Make some noise. You don't have to just say yes. Yes? Do you guys like living in these apartments? Yeah? I wasn't sure if I liked it before and too, but it turns out when the toilet is in one room and the shower is in the other room, it's actually very convenient for two people because then you can both take a shit at the same time. I'm just in the fucking shower every morning, just waffle stomping that bad boy down the drain. If it shits, it fits, that's what I say. I used to be a teacher, and one of the best parts about being a teacher is that when you're talking to a big audience of people, you always have some way to kind of visualize the point that you're making, right? You have the whiteboard behind you, and you can make sure that you can always draw or write on the whiteboard behind you, and that's very useful to a communicator like me. But during stand-up comedy, I don't really have these same luxuries, so I brought a little something with me today so I can visualize some of these next jokes to you. Would you guys like to see it? Yeah! Okay. Dan, can I get Dan back on stage here to be my flip chart holder? Thank you, Dan.
Woo! Woo! This is my big job. I don't want to fuck it up.
Already fucking it up. No, a flip chart holder is 75 euros and Dan is free. That goes for all of you too. So. No, when I was teaching English, a lot of the common mistakes that I would teach, these are both for native speakers and non-native English speakers. I would always teach common mistakes. Excuse you, sir. I would always teach common mistakes, and one of the biggest mistakes I've seen, both with native speakers and non-native speakers, is this following phrase right here. The phrase is, I couldn't give a fuck. But you see, you hear a lot of Americans, you hear a lot of English speakers saying the phrase, I could give a fuck, when they mean they don't care. But the problem with that is that if you could give a fuck, then you do care. So you need to make sure that you couldn't give any fucks anymore. You've run out of all the fucks you can give. And just to sort of illustrate my point here, I've made an illustrated diagram for you. So you see on the x-axis here, we have the amount you care, and on the y-axis, the number of fucks you can give. And as you see, if you care a lot, then you have a lot of fucks to give. That's this point right here. But if you don't care at all, then you couldn't give a fuck. So let's all say it together. I couldn't give a fuck.
I couldn't give a fuck.
There we go. I couldn't give a fuck that I did this joke 2 days ago at an open mic, and some girl told me my linear function was incorrect. She was right. There's another phrase in English. There's another phrase in English, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Now, this is grammatically correct, but I think it's a logical fallacy, and I've made a non-exhaustive list here of all the things that both don't kill you and don't make you stronger. Number one is COVID. It's okay to laugh at that now. It's been 5 years. Small amounts of lead in the bloodstream. And I think I also have written here, getting stabbed in the back by your ex-girlfriend, which now makes your self-confidence so dangerously low that you have to resort to telling jokes in front of strangers just to feel the sensation of pleasure again. For example. Recently, I saw the worst tattoo I've ever seen in my life. It said, God can only judge me. Now, while this is grammatically correct, it doesn't mean what I think the person thinks it means. You see, the phrase that we're all familiar with is, only God can judge me. If we say God can only judge me, that means God has time for only one thing. And that's judging you. Now, we've all heard of God's plan, right? God has a plan for everybody. And if this is your tattoo, I've made an example of what God's plan is for you. See, at 8 a.m., God will wake up, and at 8:01, he will immediately begin to judge you. 9 o'clock, he'll have breakfast while continuing to judge you. 10 o'clock, he will continue to judge you. Now, at 11 o'clock, he will make time to kill his only son. Great guy. 12 to 6 p.m., he will continue to judge you, and at 10 o'clock when you fall asleep, he will judge you in your dreams and about your dreams. Then when you fall asleep at midnight, he will continue to judge you, rinse and repeat as needed. I think the term bullshit is kind of a weird word, right? Because bullshit means like, that's fake, that's bullshit. But bullshit is a real thing. So I feel like we should change the word to match the definition a little bit better, right? Like, instead of saying, that's bullshit, that's unbelievable, say something a bit more unbelievable, like, that's great German customer service. I've been studying for my German driver's license exam. Anybody have their German driver's license here? Make some noise. Fuck you all. It's so hard. I made a list of some road signs here, which I'm having some trouble with. Maybe you can help me. So, I feel like the German road signs, they're quite gatekeepy. You see, in America, we have the signs, they just say what you're supposed to do on the sign. But Germans love to gatekeep these sort of things, right? They just show you a picture of cheddar cheese and they're like, you figure out what it means. This is one of my favorite road signs. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure this one means, watch out, there's gonna be a little guy coming up. Look out, there's a little guy. I told you there's gonna be a little guy. Some of the road signs are easier than others. This one's pretty simple. What does this one mean? 50. Yeah, go 50, right. It's good, that's a nice one. We've also got this one here. This is a fun one. Yeah. This one means go as fast as you want, right? Shut up. What's really fucks me up is this sign. This is a sign. This is a sign that you see when you're driving down the road and you're wondering how fast you should be going. And so you look at the sign and the sign goes, not 50. You're like, no, but I'd really like to be safe. I'd like to be going the proper speed limit. How fast should I be going? Don't go 50. Do you understand? This is like if you go to the doctor and the doctor's like, your health is in really poor shape. You can only survive if you stop eating this one thing. You're like, what is it, doctor? I'll do anything. I don't want to eat that one thing. He's like, I'm not going to tell you. If I told you, then you'd know. This is like, you know when you don't have a lot of service on your phone and you get that WhatsApp notification that's like, you may have new messages. Maybe. Who's to say? Germans, this is a crowd divider joke right here, and I love it so much because the Germans who already have their driver's license exam are like, yeah, you should just know what that sign means. And all the Ausländer are like, yeah, but in the same time and effort that it took you to put up a sign telling me how fast I shouldn't be going, you could have put a sign telling me how fast I should be going. But Germans don't subscribe to the ideals of logic, do they? Oh! There he is again. Hey, let's give a round of applause to Dan Beaver. Thank you very much for being my top holder. When I moved into my new apartment recently, of course, what's the first piece of mail you get in your mailbox when you move into a new apartment in Germany? Radio. That's right, the radio tax. It's at Friedrich Merz himself slides into your DMs. You get this letter in the mail, and you read it, and the letter's like, hey man, remember the radio? You're like, yeah, I guess, that thing from the 90s? He's like, good, you owe me 250 euros. But the letter doesn't stop there, does it? This is classic German bureaucracy. They love to give you the illusion of choice. The letter goes on, it says, "Look, man, here's what's going to happen. We are going to fuck you. But we want you to choose how often and how hard we get to fuck you." They're like, "We can fuck you vierteljährlich, 4 times a year for only 85 euros. What do you say?" Who's chosen this option? Who's being fucked 4 times a year for 85 euros? Ah, some kinky motherfuckers, alright. Lovely, yeah. You guys like it often and slow. You guys like to make love, not fuck. I love it. They're like, "We can also fuck you halbjährlich. What do you say? 125 euros twice a year." Anybody? Alright, very cool. Now my personal favorite, this is option 3. Friedrich Merz himself comes straight over to your apartment, fucks you right in the butt, right over your bank account for all 250 euros at once. I tell you, it's much better than when Angela Merkel was fucking us. Friedrich Merz's dick is very small. Angela Merkel's was something I couldn't quite handle. It's not as big as Emmanuel Macron's wife's. I have one last short story to share with you today. It's about my wonderful girlfriend who's sitting in the crowd here. It's about me, not her! She's opened my eyes to a lot of new experiences, and one of the first experiences she opened my eyes to was when we had sex for the first time. It was the first time I had had sex with somebody who was wearing an Apple Watch. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with all the features of an Apple Watch, but one of the features of an Apple Watch is that it tracks your fitness goals throughout the day. It tracks your fitness goals, and it shows it to you in this nice rings closing sort of thing. It tracks your fitness goals, and apparently one of the best ways to reach your fitness goals is fitness dick in your mouth. And the first time that we were having sex, I couldn't help but notice that the numbers on her Apple Watch were going up and up and up as we were having sex, and I was getting pretty proud of myself, too. I become fixated on this Apple Watch, and I'm like, this is not bad. This is very cool. Look at me. Look at how I'm making these numbers go up. And just as she's about to reach her fitness goal, just as she's about to close her rings, the notification rolls in on her Apple Watch. It says, "Queen Elizabeth II dead at 96. And guys, I've never come so hard in my life. Guys, thank you so much. Please bring back on Dan Gamer.